Hi, I'm Dr. Don Boomgaarden, president of St. Joseph's University, New York, and I'd like to welcome you to Living Our Mission. Founded by the Sisters of St. Joseph more than 100 years ago, St. Joseph's is a mission-driven institution that provides a strong academic, value-oriented education with campuses in Patchogue and Brooklyn, as well as online. Thank you for joining us. In this program, we will be discussing current and new academic programs, including nursing. Here to talk more about this is Dr. Maria Fletcher, Associate Dean for Nursing, and Christine Murphy, Vice President for Enrollment Management. I'd like to welcome both of you today to our conversation about one of the most important areas at St. Joseph's, and that's nursing. We have strong nursing programs on both of our campuses, and it's probably one of the most popular and sought-after programs we have. We're sitting today in a really beautiful facility, a kind of state-of-the-art area for our students to learn. And Maria and Christine, tell us a little bit about this facility, how it came about, and how it's used on a daily basis.
The Skills and Simulation Lab are an integral part of our nursing curriculum. When we first developed the four-year program, it was understood that part of what was needed was to create a state-of-the-art skills lab, which is where we're sitting right now, and simulation labs with high-fidelity simulators. Through generosity, through grants, we were able to fund two definitely state-of-the-art facilities, both in Brooklyn and in Patchogue. I believe that it is essential that you do have simulation and skills lab. They offer opportunities to students to practice skills before they go out into the healthcare environment. But more importantly, especially with our simulators, gives them the opportunity to face situations that they might not in the ordinary clinical sites that we place them in. So for example, most students, if not almost all of them, will never have the experience of assisting at a cardiac arrest. Yet, every student in our program has that experience through simulation. And so that they can see what needs to be done, how it has to be done, the quickness of the responses, giving them the opportunity to feel comfortable when they are in practice and are going to be faced with such situations.
Well, Maria, I'm sure that one of the strengths of our program, and I know this personally because I know so many of the nursing students, is that experience of hands-on activity, both in the laboratory and outside of the laboratory. And we have students all over this region that are working in various hospitals and, of course, many, many alums. Christine, when you look at these labs, what do they mean to you as the Director of Enrollment Management here at St. Joe's?
Sure. So a little bit of a different perspective than Maria, who's working with our current students. I am working with prospective students, making decisions about where they're going to enroll, what academic program they're going to pursue, and it's a big decision. So having these labs gets to, we have an opportunity to show the students some exposure to what it's going to be like. We organize, with the collaboration of Maria's team, we organize a nursing preview day where students are accepted into our program, get to come into the university and spend a day, with our nursing students, with our nursing faculty, and working with these simulated human beings to see what it's really like, and they can go forward making a more informed decision about what institution they enroll at and what major they pursue. So it's been wonderful to have that and to be able to show it off, if you will, to our prospective students.
And Maria, when the students have completed enough of their coursework and they do go out to work in the hospitals, what is that like for them? Can you describe kind of the pattern and the program and the development of the students once they come here?
Each semester in their junior and senior year, students have 2 clinical courses, which means they are in healthcare facilities 2 days a week. Having the opportunity to build relationships with staff at the hospital, but more importantly with the patients, is invaluable. so that when they go there, they have knowledge, they have skills that they practice, but they have that opportunity of really hands-on, a real live patient, whether it's a pediatric patient or a patient at end of life. That is so important. It's going to give them the perspective of what it is to practice, what it is to be a nurse. And so our clinical instructors are role models, but so are the staff in the institutions. And we're all over the island, we're all over the metropolitan area. So that is in itself a very big asset that we can have those experiences for the students.
Now, nursing is a very complex profession. There are many, many different types of nurses, many different qualifications for them. What are some of the programs that we offer here?
We have 2 undergraduate programs and we have 4 graduate programs. We have the 4-year traditional undergraduate program. We have an RN to BS completion program. Those are undergraduate programs leading to a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. But we also have 4 graduate programs: an adult gerontology primary care nurse practitioner program, adult gerontology clinical nurse specialist, nursing education, and very importantly, starting September 2024, our family nurse practitioner program. Those graduate programs offer opportunities for the nurses, not only those who graduate from us at St. Joseph's University, but elsewhere, to pursue a different role in healthcare.
And if you are a young person who's interested in nursing, who's watching this program, or maybe their parents or their grandparents are watching this program, this is a question really for both of you. How should they go about applying to St. Joseph's?
Well, if you're an undergraduate student, you're going to fill out an application found online and apply to us. As an undergraduate student, you need to have probably a B average, at least 85 or above, in order to qualify, because one of the unique aspects of our undergraduate program is that students are admitted directly into the nursing major. So when you're admitted to St. Joseph's University, you're admitted to St. Joseph's nursing program. You don't have to reapply at the end of your freshman year, and you don't have to apply or the beginning of your sophomore year. I think that's a very important distinction, making us unique. We also don't require any national testing like the TEAS. That lessens anxiety for students. For our graduate nurses, they need to have an RN license. They need to have been a graduate of an accredited program, have 1 year of active practice in healthcare, and they also then apply online. So it's a very simple process, not many requirements, and yet we have great students.
Yeah. Well, I know, and we have a very successful rate of completion with our students. So Christine, when you compare St. Joseph's nursing program with maybe some of the others in the landscape, I mean, Dr. Fletcher touched on one of the important distinctions, and that is when a student is admitted here, they have a place in our program. They don't have to wait until they're a junior or senior to find out if they're actually going to be able to complete it. What are some of the other highlights and differences between St. Joseph's approach and those of other schools?
Yeah, I just want to say that that's also a really important point, and that's something that accepted students should ask all of the schools they're applying to and getting accepted to. Will I begin as a nursing major in my first semester right away? Because completion and the students want to be on track to complete on time. Our students also have a really impressive pass rate on the NCLEX exam.
What does NCLEX mean?
NCLEX is the national licensing exam. So it's the same whether you're in New York or California, and you need to pass that in order to be licensed.
So it's kind of like a bar exam for lawyers, right?
Very much so, yes. You need to pass it, and then you get your license that allows you to practice.
And what is our rate of success in that?
I don't know our most recent rate, but we've been hovering about the 90%.
90%, excellent.
And that's really very important for students to know.
And Christine, I interrupted you, so what else were you going to add to that?
I think that also the small environment. Nursing is challenging at any institution. The sciences are challenging, the clinicals are challenging, the scheduling. there's a community here. So I think that's really, special and unique. There's a community, and it's fostered by our faculty like Maria and the director and the leadership in the program. But I just, the students also form their own community and study groups. And because of the small nature and because they're together from the first year, they're not competing for a spot in their junior year, right, against each other. They're admitted direct admission again in their first year, and they're working together as a community towards this, common goal of completing a really challenging program. So I think that's, unique, the bonds and the support that I see amongst our students, and it's, very much fostered by the faculty and the leadership in the nursing program here at St. Joseph's University.
So they're admitted really as a cohort, and they work through that whole period of time together as a group, and they're able to learn from one another. And I think that, you put your finger on it, that one of the distinctions of St. Joseph's is that because of our size, we're able to offer students a very personalized approach. And I think for students and for parents, this is a really critical aspect of education wherever you decide to go to school. And that is, every student is unique. Every student has special gifts and abilities, which are not going to come out in a class of 200 or 300 students. And it takes time sometimes for the students to even become aware of the gifts that they have. And so that smaller environment allows them to do so and creates a supportive atmosphere as well, where the faculty and the students themselves support one another in their efforts in a very, very challenging and difficult field. Because when we talk about nursing, it's really a life and death situation.
The small class size, I think, is a very significant factor in our program. All of the departments at St. Joseph's have small class sizes. And even though we've increased enrollment over the years, we've just added sections so that we never go over that 25 capacity in a class. And that's so important because it empowers the students to build relationships with their faculty, their course instructor, but also to build, like Christine was saying, relationships among themselves. They're not going to be lost because they're one of 70 people in a classroom. You can't get lost in our program. We know who you are, we know what your needs are, and we try very hard to accommodate people with what they need, whether it's study groups, extra sessions.
And many times they do, right? Because it's a very challenging program. So many times they need outside assistance. And again, this is the advantage that we have. We can offer that to them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So I think that, for a parent or student that's interested in nursing, interested in applying, they should look carefully at these kinds of questions. It's not the first thing sometimes people look at. Sometimes they look at price or they look at location, all kinds of things, but not necessarily these kinds of important details. Well, we have to take a quick break, but still to come, more about new and existing programs at St. Joseph's. Welcome back to St. Joseph's University, New York, Living Our Mission. We're discussing with Maria Fletcher and Christine Murphy some of the issues surrounding nursing education, but also higher education in general, because some of the problems that nursing students encounter are shared by all of our students. And one of the big issues these days is coming through COVID and coming out of COVID. And this has been especially impactful on the field of nursing. So I suppose, Maria, a question I would have is, how have the students coped with COVID while we were in it? And how has it affected the students and also the profession now that we're through that crisis?
When COVID became a reality in March of 2020, this created tremendous challenges. We went from an on-campus program to a virtual program. So that in itself was difficult. Students may not have had any experience taking online courses, and now they had to take online courses. We needed to provide opportunities for them to have virtual simulation experiences because we weren't allowed in the healthcare facilities appropriately. So that for many of those students, those graduating in 2020 and 2021, their hands-on experience in clinical facilities was definitely altered, not like what we had always planned for them. However, we had faculty who were very able to adjust. We had resources that were available to us so that students did have the experience virtually of simulation. Not tremendously great, but still better than not having anything. Since 2021, we've been back in the hospitals, which has been a real tremendous asset. So now students did have that ability to have hands-on experience. But healthcare has changed since COVID, so that although there are opportunities in the hospitals, those opportunities are still more limited than they were pre-COVID. Hospital organizations have experienced a tremendous turnover. Nurses that would have continued for many more years suddenly retired. Burnout because of the overwhelming stress of having very sick patients caused many to leave healthcare organizations or the profession itself and going someplace else. So this has impacted our students. In the positive, there are lots of job opportunities because all healthcare facilities are looking for nurses. And so that's important for our students. Our students get jobs. We have like 100% employment rate. However, there are also less mentors in those facilities. A lot of the people there are still new. Although I have to say that my colleagues in healthcare have made tremendous effort to secure additional orientations for all graduates, not only St. Joseph's but elsewhere, and to provide them with senior staff who can precept and mentor them. So yeah, healthcare always goes through changes. COVID caused a lot of changes not anticipated, obviously.
And those changes, it's so fascinating because many times people will say to me, well, there's a shortage of nursing. Why is there a shortage of nursing? Are you not educating enough? And I'm like, well, there's a problem, and that is the nursing profession is very demanding, and many nurses are burned out after COVID. And so I think it points to one of the important issues that COVID showed me as president of St. Joseph's, and that is that in a time of a global pandemic, it became very obvious how important education was. Because for many of our students, those even online experiences were the one bright spot in their day. But also, if you look at the statistics of job loss, college graduates did much better during COVID because many of them have skills that require them to be present or to be very, very involved, and they couldn't simply work from home. And certainly with nurses, they were in the forefront. The downside was it was very, very challenging for them. And I know that at St. Joseph's, we talk openly about that, right? We talk with our nurses a little bit about the stress of the job and how to deal with it. What is that like when you have those conversations?
We have a course in their senior year that specifically talks about this transition. What will they be expected to do? No. How can they navigate a new job experience in a facility that they may never have had any interaction with because it wasn't one of the placements that they had? But during those conversations, there's just a global perspective as well. It's, well, now you're a nurse. Nursing is difficult. You're going to graduate, you're going to pass NCLEX, you're going to get a job. Well, what does that mean? What kinds of investment of self will you have to make? Nursing is not easy. It's never been easy. But I think that when you have the opportunity to discuss it, what your fears are, it alleviates some of that fear. It alleviates some of that anxiety. At least that's what we hope. And that's what we hear our students say. Yeah, we talked about that, and it actually happened, and I knew what to do.
I mean, it's a well-known fact. My father was a naval officer, and we used to talk a lot about bravery. And he used to say bravery is all about rehearsal. In other words, you can't just put a raw recruit in a stressful situation and expect them to perform well. They have to go through training. And so, in a sense, that's what we do with our nursing students. And we also provide them through our core curriculum with all kinds of tools with dealing with the harsh aspects. Christine, how would you describe what a typical nursing student here goes through in terms of not only their nursing courses, but their core curriculum?
So the nursing major is number of credits about
127.
right, but not all of them are in the nursing major.
Right, 61.
About a third to close to a half of their credits are in the liberal arts, social sciences. Our students also complete these thematic areas like courses that are designated as a quest for meaning, self and society, so they can understand not just the discipline that they're studying and the career they're preparing for, but also greater aspects of the world and how to deal with challenges, how to critically think, how to problem solve. And the idea is that those complement what they're learning in their discipline, whether it's preparing to become a teacher or preparing to become a nurse or an accountant or going into business. They also have these broad liberal arts and science areas that very much supplement their discipline and their career and their major.
I mean, sometimes people talk to me about, well, why do you have this core curriculum? What's the value? Why couldn't you just have 127 hours of nursing? And the problem is that, and the challenge is that when we send the nurses out, they're people and they have to work in that environment and learn how to deal with incredible challenges. And so that core curriculum, philosophy, religious studies, history, literature, those give them the tools, I think, to better deal with the stresses of the hospital. And certainly that's the story that I hear from our alums. They do very, very well as nurses.
Yes.
Now, Maria, you mentioned the word global as you were talking about the education of the nurses. And I think that's one of the characteristics of nursing, is that the nurse is responsible for the whole patient, right? And so that sense of totality with the patient is really critical. How do you talk to the students about that?
Well, that's one of the concepts that runs through our curriculum, and that is that you're patient-centered, but you're also family-focused. And family is defined in multiple ways. We have many kinds of families out there. The important aspect is that you're not only taking care of the patient, very important aspect to be sure. However, that patient lives within a different community. So you need to also understand what that community has, expects, what kinds of help that they need in order to cope with whatever that patient has. So one of the important concepts that we try to impart on to our students is that, yes, plan for the patient, but plan for that patient when he or she returns back to his family community. Families live in a global community as well. You know, what does that mean? What kinds of needs would they need to have addressed? Whether it's types of social services that they need or whatever. You need to keep all of that in mind. Makes nursing complex, but it makes nursing very fascinating.
One of the
and
most
interesting.
rewarding careers. I mean, if you're able to find that special niche that works for you, the right hospital, the right environment, nursing is a fantastic career. And then, of course, our graduate programs, in a way, Christine, help nurses who have, they've made the transition. They're now nurses. They're working in a hospital environment, but they want something more. Can you describe our graduate programs just a little bit more?
Sure. So Maria touched a little bit on the master's programs that we offer for students who've been working for a year in the field, are invited to come back and to apply to our master's programs, our newest being the Family Nurse Practitioner program, which will debut with its first class being welcomed in fall 2024. We also still have the Nurse Practitioner Master's degree for adult gerontology. And we have a master's degree in nursing education. To fill that need, I think Maria touched on a little bit, we need educators to help teach the next generation of nurses in the hospitals and in the universities and colleges and universities. We also have a master's in the clinical nurse specialist. So we have 4 different masters, but I also want to touch on the advanced certificates. So we're excited about the Family Nurse Practitioner Masters, but we have some graduates of our master's program in adult gerontology that may wish to transition that nurse practitioner license they have to become family nurse practitioner. So starting in 2025, fall 2025, we'll also have an advanced certificate. So those that already have a graduate degree and a master's degree can come back and do an advanced certificate to have a new license. So we offer both for bachelor's degree recipients to come begin with their first master's, as well as those holding a master's to come back and sort of retool.
And this is a time in
transition.
nursing where many nurses, because of COVID, have postponed graduate education because, first of all, they've been exhausted.
Yeah.
And now they're faced with, well, maybe I should move forward somehow in my career. And so these programs offer nurses the opportunity to do that. They also, and I think our viewers can tell from Maria's comments, the program itself is focused on the whole student. It's focused on a global perspective, and it's set up in such a way that they're going to be successful if they come to us. And I think that goes for graduate and undergraduate. And I think we have that same ethos throughout our whole nursing program. And I'm so proud of the nursing program. The successes of the program are remarkable. Anyone can go on our website and read a little bit about some of our successful alums throughout the region. We owe a lot of that to Dr. Fletcher and the incredible work that we've done. And also we owe a lot of that to Christine for bringing in these wonderful students. Well, thank you, Maria and Christine, for joining me today. Thank you in the audience for joining us today. And thank you for watching St. Joseph's University, New York, Living Our Mission.